I should have known something was wrong the moment my sister stopped making eye contact with me at breakfast. She was stirring her coffee. Over and over. The spoon clinking against the ceramic like a timer counting down to something I couldn't see yet. My mother sat across from her, perfectly still, hands folded on the table like she was posing for a portrait. And my brother-in-law, Marcus, he just kept scrolling through his phone, thumb moving in that mindless rhythm people use when they're avoiding reality. I was eating toast. Plain. Dry. Because that's what my life had become in that house. Plain. Dry. Tolerated. Emma, my sister finally said. Her voice was soft. Too soft. Like she was talking to a child. We need to talk about the trip. I looked up. The trip. Oh, the trip. They'd been planning it for months. A family vacation to the Maldives. 2 weeks of luxury. White sand beaches. Crystal water. The kind of place you see in magazines and think, maybe one day. Except for me, one day had apparently just been cancelled. We've been thinking, my mother said, taking over before my sister could finish. Her voice was smooth, rehearsed. She'd practiced this. And we feel like this trip should be just for the core family. Core family. 2 words. That's all it took. I set my toast down. My hands didn't shake. Not yet. Core family, I repeated. My sister looked at Marcus. He didn't look up from his phone. You understand, don't you? My mother continued. It's nothing personal. It's just that, well, you're not married. You don't have kids. And this trip is really about family bonding. Real family bonding. Real family. I wasn't real family. I'd lived in this house for 6 months. Ever since I lost my job and my apartment in the same week. Ever since my world fell apart and I had nowhere else to go. I'd cooked their meals. Cleaned their messes. Babysat their kids. Listened to their problems. Been there. Always there. But I wasn't real family. Emma, say something, my sister whispered. I stood up. I didn't throw my plate. Didn't yell. Didn't cry. I just looked at her. At all of them. And I said nothing. Because sometimes silence is the loudest thing you can give someone. I walked out of that kitchen, up the stairs, into the guest room they'd given me, and I sat on the edge of the bed. My chest felt tight. My throat burned. But I didn't cry. Not yet. Outside, I could hear them talking. Muffled voices through the walls. My sister's voice rising slightly, defensive. My mother's voice calm, dismissive. Marcus laughing at something on his phone. They'd already moved on. I pulled out my laptop. I didn't know what I was going to do. But I knew one thing. I wasn't going to let this go. If you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around for what happens next. That night, I didn't go downstairs for dinner. I stayed in my room, door closed, lights off, just sitting there in the dark. I could hear them laughing. The sound of silverware clinking. My niece asking where Aunt Emma was. She's resting, my sister said. She's had a long day. A long day. Right. I pulled my knees to my chest and stared at the wall. I'd spent the last 6 months trying to be useful. Trying to earn my place. Trying to prove I wasn't a burden. But none of it mattered. Because I wasn't part of the core family. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister. Emma, please don't be upset. You know how Mom is. She just wants it to be intimate. We'll do something together when we get back. Promise. Promise. I stared at that word until it stopped meaning anything. Then I put my phone face down on the nightstand and went to bed. But I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Because something inside me had shifted. Something cold. Something sharp. And I knew that the next morning, everything was going to change. They left early. 5 a.m. I heard them moving around downstairs. Suitcases rolling across hardwood. Car doors slamming. My mother's voice giving last-minute instructions. I stayed in bed. Eyes open. Staring at the ceiling. I heard my sister pause outside my door. She didn't knock. She just stood there for a moment. Then she walked away. The front door closed. The car pulled out of the driveway. And then it was quiet. I got up. I showered. Got dressed. Made myself coffee in their pristine kitchen. And then I sat down at the table with my laptop. I opened my email. And I started typing. See, here's the thing about my family. They think I'm just Emma. Quiet Emma. Struggling Emma. Emma who lost her job and her apartment and had to move back home like a failure. But they forgot something. Before I lost everything, I was Emma, the senior travel coordinator at one of the largest airline companies in the country. I knew people. I knew systems. I knew exactly how things worked behind the scenes. And I still had access. Not officially. But I'd kept in touch with a few colleagues. People who owed me favors. People who trusted me. I pulled up my sister's flight information. It wasn't hard to find. She'd sent me the itinerary weeks ago, back when I was still invited. Back when I was still family. Flight 447. Departing at 11 a.m. connecting through Dubai. Then on to the Maldives. I stared at the screen. My finger hovered over the keyboard. I could do it. I could make one call. Send one email. But did I want to? I closed my laptop. I stood up. I walked to the window and looked out at the quiet street. And then I heard my mother's voice in my head. Real family bonding. I opened my laptop again. And I made the call. The airport was chaos. I arrived 2 hours after they did. I didn't have a flight to catch. I didn't have luggage. I just had a plan. I walked through the sliding doors into the terminal, and the energy hit me immediately. Hundreds of people. Stressed. Frustrated. Staring at screens. I found a coffee shop near the departure gates and sat down where I could see everything. And then I waited. It didn't take long. The announcement came over the intercom at 10:30. Attention passengers on Flight 447 to Dubai. We regret to inform you that due to technical difficulties, this flight has been cancelled. Please proceed to the customer service desk for rebooking options. I took a sip of my coffee. And I watched. I saw them before they saw me. My mother was at the front, marching toward the customer service desk like a general leading troops into battle. My sister was right behind her, pulling 2 suitcases and trying to keep up. Marcus had the kids, both of them whining and pulling at his arms. They looked exactly how I expected. Furious. Panicked. Desperate. The customer service desk was already swarmed. At least 40 people crowding around, all shouting, all demanding answers. My mother pushed her way to the front. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I could see her gestures. Sharp. Aggressive. The kind of body language that says, "Do you know who I am?" The staff member behind the desk looked exhausted. She was typing rapidly, shaking her head, gesturing to the line behind my mother. My sister was on her phone. Probably calling someone. Probably trying to fix this. And then, like clockwork, it happened. One of the airline staff members, a young woman in a crisp uniform, walked past the desk. She was holding a tablet. Moving quickly. She glanced at the crowd. And then she saw me. Her eyes widened slightly. I gave her a small smile. A nod. She changed direction. She walked straight toward me. "Miss Thompson," she said quietly, leaning down slightly so only I could hear. "Hi, Jenna," I said. "How are you?" "I'm good." "It's been a while." She glanced back at the desk. "I heard about the cancellation. Are you flying today?" "No," I said. "Just observing." She followed my gaze to my family. "That's them, isn't it?" she said softly. I didn't answer. She straightened up. "I'll take care of it." And she walked away. I watched as Jenna approached the desk. She tapped the shoulder of the staff member my mother was yelling at. They had a brief conversation. The staff member looked at my mother, then at Jenna, then nodded. Jenna leaned over the counter and said something to my mother. My mother's face changed. Confusion. Then suspicion. Jenna gestured toward me. And my mother turned. Our eyes met. For a moment, the entire terminal seemed to go silent. Then my sister turned too. Her mouth fell open. Marcus looked up from his phone. He blinked. Jenna said something else. My mother's face went pale. And then my sister started walking toward me. I stayed seated. Took another sip of coffee. She stopped a few feet away. "Emma," she said. Her voice was shaking. What are you doing here?" I set my cup down slowly. Deliberately. "Just having coffee," I said. "Why?" "Jenna just told Mom that you're the reason we might get rebooked." She was staring at me like I was a stranger. How? How is that possible? I tilted my head. Is it? Emma. Her voice dropped to a whisper. What did you do? I stood up. I was taller than her. Just by an inch. But in that moment, it felt like more. I didn't do anything, Claire, I said. I'm just here. Having coffee. Watching. You're lying. Am I? She opened her mouth. Closed it. Her hands were trembling. Behind her, my mother was marching over. Marcus trailing behind, kids in tow. Emma, my mother said sharply. What is going on? I looked at her. This woman who raised me. Who taught me to be polite. To be kind. To put family first. Your flight got cancelled, I said calmly. That's what's going on. Don't play games with me, she snapped. That woman said you have connections here. She said you could help us. Did she? Yes. My mother's eyes were hard. Cold. So help us. I let the silence stretch. People were starting to stare. A small crowd forming around us. Why should I? I said finally. My mother's face went red. Because we're your family. Am I? I asked. Am I your family? Claire flinched. Because yesterday, I continued, my voice steady, you made it very clear that I'm not part of the core family. That I'm not real family. That I don't belong. Emma, please, Claire whispered. Don't do this. Do what? I said. Stand here? Exist? Take up space? My mother stepped closer. Her voice dropped to a hiss. If you don't help us right now, Emma, you will regret this. I smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. Will I? I picked up my coffee cup. Took one last sip. Set it down. And then I walked past them. Slowly. Deliberately. Enjoy your trip, I said over my shoulder. Oh wait. I kept walking. Behind me, I heard my sister call my name. I didn't turn around. I walked out of the terminal, into the bright sunlight, and I got into my car. My hands were shaking now. My heart pounding. But I felt alive. For the first time in months, I felt alive. I drove home in silence. No music. No podcasts. Just the sound of my breathing and the hum of the engine. When I pulled into the driveway, the house was exactly as they'd left it. Empty. Quiet. Mine. I walked inside. Closed the door behind me. Leaned against it. And then I laughed. Not a cruel laugh. Not a bitter laugh. Just a release. I walked into the kitchen. Made myself lunch. A real lunch. Not toast. Not leftovers. I made pasta. With fresh vegetables. And garlic bread. And I sat at their dining table and I ate slowly, savoring every bite. My phone started buzzing. Claire. Then my mother. Then Marcus. Then Claire again. I didn't answer. I finished my meal. Washed my plate. Put it away. And then I went upstairs to my room. I pulled out my laptop again. And I started looking at apartments. Because here's the thing. I'd been so focused on surviving. On being grateful. On not rocking the boat. But I'd forgotten something. I was Emma Thompson. I was smart. I was capable. I was more than they'd ever given me credit for. And I didn't need them. I never did. By that evening, I'd sent out 3 job applications. Found 2 apartments within my budget. And scheduled interviews for both. My phone was still buzzing. I finally picked it up. 12 missed calls. 17 texts. I opened the messages. Claire, Emma, please answer. We're still at the airport. Claire, they rebooked us but not until tomorrow. We have to stay overnight. Claire, Mom is furious. She's blaming me. Claire, please. Just talk to me. My mother, this is unacceptable. Call me immediately. My mother, Emma. I'm warning you. Marcus, look, I know things got heated. But we're family. We can work this out. I stared at that last message. Family. I started typing. Family doesn't exclude people. Family doesn't make people feel worthless. Family doesn't treat people like they're disposable. You made your choice. Now live with it. I hit send. Then I turned off my phone. And I went to bed. For the first time in 6 months, I slept through the night. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight streaming through the window. I stretched. Smiled. Made coffee. I was in the middle of breakfast when I heard a car pull into the driveway. My stomach dropped. They were back. Already. I walked to the window and looked out. It was just Claire. No one else. She got out of the car slowly. Looked up at the house. Took a deep breath. Then she walked to the front door and knocked. I considered not answering. But I opened the door anyway. She looked terrible. Hair disheveled. Eyes red. Still wearing the same clothes from yesterday. Can I come in? She asked quietly. I stepped aside. She walked into the living room and just stood there, arms wrapped around herself. Where's everyone else? I asked. They stayed at a hotel near the airport. She wouldn't look at me. I told them I needed to come back. To talk to you. Why? Because you're my sister. Her voice cracked. And I'm sorry. I crossed my arms. Sorry for what, exactly? For everything. She finally looked at me. For letting Mom steamroll you. For not standing up for you. For making you feel like you weren't wanted. I wasn't wanted, I said flatly. You made that very clear. I know. A tear rolled down her cheek. I know. And I hate myself for it. Then why did you do it? She sat down on the couch. Put her face in her hands. Because it was easier, she whispered. It was easier to go along with Mom than to fight her. It was easier to exclude you than to deal with the conflict. And I'm so sorry. I sat down across from her. Do you know what it felt like? I said. Sitting at that table. Hearing you tell me I'm not real family. After everything I've done for you. For all of you. I know. Do you? My voice was rising now. Do you know what it's like to be tolerated? To be treated like a burden? To be invisible in your own family? Emma, I cooked your meals. I watched your kids. I cleaned your house. I did everything I could to not be in the way. And it still wasn't enough. She was crying now. Fully crying. You're right, she said. You're absolutely right. And I don't expect you to forgive me. I needed you to know that I see it now. I see what we did. What I did. I leaned back. My anger was still there. Hot. Sharp. But underneath it, there was something else. Exhaustion. What do you want, Claire? I asked. I want to make this right. You can't. I know. But I want to try. She wiped her eyes. I talked to Mom last night. I told her she was wrong. I told her we were wrong. And I told her that if she ever treats you like that again, I'm done. I raised an eyebrow. You stood up to Mom? For the first time in my life. She laughed bitterly. She didn't take it well. She said I was being dramatic. That you were overreacting. That you manipulated the airline situation to punish us. Did I? I asked. She looked at me. Really looked at me. I don't know, she said honestly. And I don't care. Even if you did, we deserved it. I was quiet. The flight leaves in a few hours, she continued. We're still going. But I wanted to come here first. I wanted to tell you that I'm sorry. And that you're my sister. My real sister. And I love you. My throat tightened. I don't know if I can forgive you yet, I said. I understand. And I'm moving out. She nodded. I figured. But maybe. I hesitated. Maybe we can talk. When you get back. Really talk. She smiled through her tears. I'd like that. She stood up. I walked her to the door. Before she left, she turned and hugged me. I didn't hug her back at first. But then I did. Just for a moment. Have a safe trip, I said. Thank you. She pulled back. And Emma? Yeah? Whatever you did at the airport, thank you. She walked to her car. I watched her drive away. And then I closed the door. I stood there for a long moment. And then I started packing. 2 weeks later, I was in my new apartment. It was small. A studio. But it was mine. I'd furnished it with thrift store finds and a few new pieces. It was cozy. Warm. Safe. I was making dinner when my phone rang. Claire. I hesitated. Then answered. Hey, she said. Is this a good time? Sure. I'm back. It was complicated. How so? She sighed. Mom spent the whole time complaining. Marcus and I fought. The kids were miserable. It was supposed to be this perfect family bonding experience, and it was just empty. I'm sorry. Don't be. We earned it. She paused. Can I see your new place? Really? Really. I want to see where you're living. I want to be part of your life. If you'll let me. I looked around my little apartment. Okay, I said. Come over. She showed up an hour later with takeout and wine. We sat on my floor because I only had one chair. And we talked. Really talked. About our childhood. About our parents. About the expectations we'd both been drowning under. Mom called you manipulative, Claire said. But I think she's the manipulative one. She's been controlling us our whole lives. Yeah. I don't want to be like her, Claire said. I don't want my kids to feel the way you felt. The way I felt. Then don't be. She smiled. It's that simple? It's that simple. We ate. We drank. We laughed. And for the first time in years, I felt like I had a sister again. Not the sister who excluded me. The sister I used to know. The one who used to protect me. The one who used to care. Over the next few months, things slowly shifted. I got a new job. A good one. At a different airline company. Better pay. Better position. I started rebuilding my life. Claire and I saw each other regularly. She brought the kids over. We went to dinner. We texted. My mother reached out once. A stiff, formal email about moving forward and letting bygones be bygones. I didn't respond. Some bridges aren't worth rebuilding. And then, 6 months after the airport incident, something happened. I was at work when I got a call from Claire. Emma, she said. Her voice was shaking. I need you. What's wrong? It's Marcus. He's been having an affair. My blood ran cold. What? I found messages on his phone. It's been going on for months. Since before the Maldives trip. Claire, I'm so sorry. Can you come over? Please. I don't know what to do. I'm on my way. I left work immediately. When I got to her house, she was sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. The kids were at school. Marcus was at work. She looked broken. I sat down next to her. Tell me everything, I said. She did. Every detail. Every lie. Every betrayal. And I listened. When she was done, she looked at me. What do I do? She whispered. What do you want to do? I want to hurt him the way he hurt me. I understood that feeling. Then do it, I said. But do it smart. She looked at me. What do you mean? I smiled. I mean, let me help you. Over the next few weeks, Claire and I worked together. We documented everything. Every message. Every receipt. Every lie. We hired a lawyer. A good one. We prepared. And when the time was right, Claire filed for divorce. Marcus didn't see it coming. He thought she'd forgive him. He thought she'd stay. He was wrong. The divorce was brutal. But Claire was strong. Stronger than I'd ever seen her. And I was there. Every step of the way. Because that's what real family does. The day the divorce was finalized, Claire and I went out to dinner. Just the two of us. I couldn't have done this without you, she said. Yes, you could have. No. She shook her head. I wouldn't have. A year ago, I would have stayed. I would have convinced myself it was fine. That I deserved it. You didn't deserve it. I know that now. She raised her glass. To new beginnings. To new beginnings, I echoed. We clinked glasses. And I realized something. The airport wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning. The beginning of me finding myself. The beginning of Claire finding herself. The beginning of us finding each other. A year after the airport incident, I was promoted to senior management at my company. Claire had started her own business. A small consulting firm. It was doing well. We saw each other every week. Sometimes with the kids. Sometimes just us. My mother reached out a few more times. Each time, I ignored her. Some people don't change. Some people don't deserve second chances. And that's okay. Because I'd learned something important. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up. Who supports you. Who sees you. And for the first time in my life, I had that. Not from where I expected. But from where it mattered. I was sitting in my apartment one evening when Claire called. Hey, she said. I'm planning a trip. Yeah? Yeah. Just me and the kids. Maybe you. If you want to come. I smiled. Where? The Maldives. I laughed. Seriously? Seriously. I never got to enjoy it last time. Too much drama. Too much guilt. She paused. But this time, I want to do it right. With people I actually love. I'd love to come. Good. Because I already booked your ticket. I felt tears prick my eyes. Thank you, Claire. No, she said softly. Thank you. For not giving up on me. Even when I gave up on you. We talked for another hour. About the trip. About life. About everything. And when I hung up, I sat in the quiet of my apartment and I thought about that morning. The morning they told me I wasn't family enough. The morning I walked away. The morning everything changed. And I realized something. They were right. I wasn't their family. I was better than that. I was my own person. Strong. Capable. Worthy. And I didn't need their approval to know that. 3 months later, Claire and I were on a plane to the Maldives. The kids were excited. Bouncing in their seats. Claire was smiling. Really smiling. And I was at peace. As the plane took off, I looked out the window at the world below. And I thought about the girl I used to be. The one who needed validation. The one who needed to belong. The one who thought she wasn't enough. She was gone now. In her place was someone new. Someone stronger. Someone who knew her worth. Someone who didn't need anyone's permission to exist. The flight attendant came by with drinks. Can I get you anything? She asked. Just water, please, I said. She smiled and moved on. Claire leaned over. You okay? Yeah, I said. I'm great. Good. She squeezed my hand. Because this is going to be the best trip ever. I know. And it was. We spent 2 weeks in paradise. Swimming. Laughing. Healing. The kids built sandcastles. Claire read books on the beach. And I just existed. Fully. Completely. Without guilt. Without shame. Without needing to prove anything to anyone. On our last night, Claire and I sat on the beach watching the sunset. I'm glad we did this, she said. Me too. Emma? Yeah? I'm proud of you. I looked at her. For what? For standing up for yourself. For not letting us break you. For being the person I should have been. You're that person now. She smiled. We both are. The sun dipped below the horizon. The sky turned orange, then pink, then purple. And I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Gratitude. Not for what I'd been through, but for what it had taught me. That I was enough. That I always had been. And that I always would be. We flew home the next day. Back to reality. Back to work. Back to life. But something had shifted. I was different now. Lighter. Freer. I walked into my apartment and it felt like home. Not just a place I lived. But home. I put my suitcase down. Made tea. Sat on my couch. And I thought about that morning at the airport. The moment everything changed. The moment I said nothing. Because sometimes, silence is the most powerful thing you can say. Sometimes, walking away is the bravest thing you can do. And sometimes, losing everything is the only way to find yourself. I picked up my phone. There was a message from my mother. I heard you went to the Maldives with Claire. I hope you had a good time. We should talk soon. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I deleted it. Without responding. Because some conversations aren't worth having. Some people will never understand. And that's okay. I don't need them to. I have myself. And that's enough. A few months later, I got a promotion. Then another one. I was thriving. At work. At home. In life. Claire's business was doing well too. We celebrated together. Often. My niece started calling me her favorite aunt. My nephew asked if he could stay with me sometimes. I said yes. Because that's what family does. Real family. The kind that shows up. The kind that cares. The kind that sees you. One evening, I was having dinner with Claire and the kids when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something told me to. Hello? Emma Thompson? A woman's voice. Yes? This is Linda Chen from the Maldives Resort Group. We're opening a new luxury property and we're looking for a senior operations manager. Your name came highly recommended. I blinked. I'm sorry, what? We'd like to offer you a position. It would be based in the Maldives. Full relocation package. Competitive salary. Would you be interested in discussing this further? I looked at Claire. She was watching me. Curious. Can I think about it? I asked. Of course. Take your time. Here's my email. Send me your availability for a call. Thank you. I hung up. Claire leaned forward. What was that? A job offer. In the Maldives. Her eyes widened. Are you going to take it? I don't know. Do you want to? I thought about it. A new country. A new adventure. A fresh start. Maybe, I said. She smiled. Then you should. Really? Really. She reached across the table. Emma, you've spent your whole life putting other people first. It's time to put yourself first. But what about you? The kids? We'll visit. All the time. It'll be an adventure. I laughed. You're serious. Completely. I looked at the kids. They were both nodding enthusiastically. You have to go, Aunt Emma, my niece said. It's like a fairy tale. Yeah, my nephew added. And you can send us pictures of the beach. I felt tears well up. Okay, I said. I'll think about it. But I already knew my answer. 2 months later, I was on a plane to the Maldives. This time, not for vacation. For life. Claire and the kids came to see me off. Call me when you land, Claire said, hugging me tight. I will. And Emma? Yeah? Thank you. For what? For showing me what it means to be brave. I smiled through my tears. You showed me first. No. She shook her head. You did. That day at the airport. When you walked away. That was the bravest thing I've ever seen. I hugged her again. Then I hugged the kids. And I walked toward the gate. I didn't look back. Because this time, I was moving forward. Toward something new. Toward something better. Toward me. As the plane took off, I looked out the window. The city grew smaller below me. Everything I'd known. Everything I'd been. Fading into the distance. And I felt free. Completely, utterly free. I settled into my seat. Closed my eyes. And I thought about that morning. The morning they told me I wasn't family enough. The morning I said nothing. The morning that changed everything. And I smiled. Because they were wrong. I was always enough. I just needed to believe it. The flight was long. But peaceful. I slept. I read. I thought. About the past. About the future. About who I was and who I was becoming. When we landed, the sun was setting. The sky was painted in shades of gold and pink. I stepped off the plane and breathed in the warm, salty air. This was it. My new life. My new beginning. And it felt right. I collected my luggage. Found my driver. Headed to the resort. It was even more beautiful than I remembered. White sand beaches. Crystal clear water. Palm trees swaying in the breeze. I checked into my accommodation. A small villa near the staff quarters. It was simple. But perfect. I unpacked. Showered. Changed. And then I walked out onto the beach. The sun had fully set now. The sky was dark. Stars scattered across it like diamonds. I stood at the water's edge and let the waves wash over my feet. And I thought about everything that had brought me here. The pain. The betrayal. The heartbreak. But also the growth. The strength. The healing. All of it had led to this moment. This place. This peace. My phone buzzed. A text from Claire. Did you make it? I did, I typed back. It's perfect. I'm so happy for you. Thank you. For everything. Love you, sis. Love you too. I put my phone away. And I stood there. Under the stars. By the ocean. In my new life. And I felt something I hadn't felt in a very long time. Hope. Not hope that things would get better. But hope that I was already better. That I was enough. That I was exactly where I needed to be. I stayed on that beach for hours. Just standing there. Breathing. Existing. Being. And when I finally went back to my villa, I slept better than I had in years. The next morning, I started my new job. The work was challenging. Fast-paced. Exciting. I loved it. I met new people. Made new friends. Built a new life. And every day, I woke up grateful. Not for what I'd lost. But for what I'd gained. Myself. 6 months into my new life, I was sitting at a beachside cafe when I saw her. My mother. She was walking along the beach with a group of tourists, clearly on vacation. I froze. For a moment, I considered leaving. But then I realized something. I didn't need to run. I didn't need to hide. I was in my space now. My life. And she couldn't touch it. She saw me a moment later. Her eyes widened. She hesitated. Then she walked over. "Emma," she said. "What are you doing here?" "I work here," I said calmly. "I live here." "You, what?" "I moved here 6 months ago." She blinked. "Claire didn't tell me. I asked her not to." My mother sat down across from me. Uninvited. "You look good," she said stiffly. "Thank you. I tried to reach out to you. Several times. I know. You never responded." "No." She was quiet for a moment. "Do you hate me?" she asked finally. I looked at her. This woman who raised me. Who shaped me. Who hurt me. "No," I said honestly. "I don't hate you." "Then why won't you talk to me?" "Because I don't need to." She flinched. "I spent my whole life trying to earn your approval," I continued. "Trying to be good enough. Trying to be the daughter you wanted. And it was never enough. I was never enough." "Emma, but I am enough," I said. "I always was. I just didn't know it." She looked down at her hands. "I made mistakes," she said quietly. "Yes. You did. I'm sorry." I was quiet. "Are you?" I asked. She looked up. "Yes." "Then I'm glad. For you. But it doesn't change anything." "Emma, please, I forgive you," I said. "Not for you. For me. Because I don't want to carry that anger anymore." "But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean I'm letting you back into my life." Her eyes filled with tears. "I'm your mother. I know. And I hope you have a good life. I really do. But I don't want you in mine." I stood up. "Goodbye, Mom." I walked away. And I didn't look back. It felt like closing a chapter. A final one. And it felt good. I went back to work. Back to my life. Back to my peace. And I never saw her again. A year later, Claire came to visit. She brought the kids. We spent 2 weeks together. Swimming. Laughing. Making memories. On the last night, we sat on the beach. Just like we had before. "I can't believe you live here," Claire said. "Neither can I sometimes." "Are you happy?" I thought about it. "Yeah," I said. "I really am." She smiled. "Good. You deserve it. So do you." "I'm getting there." She looked at the ocean. "Emma?" "Yeah?" "I saw Mom a few months ago." I stiffened. "Oh?" "She asked about you." "What did you tell her?" "That you're thriving. That you're happy. That you don't need her." "And what did she say?" "Nothing. She just cried." I was quiet. "Do you think you'll ever talk to her again?" Claire asked. "I don't know. Maybe. Someday. When I'm ready. And if that day never comes? Then it doesn't." I looked at her. "I'm okay with that." She nodded. "Me too." We sat in comfortable silence. "Thank you," I said. "For what?" "For coming. For supporting me. For being my real family." She squeezed my hand. "Always." The next day, I took them to the airport. We said our goodbyes. Promised to stay in touch. And then they were gone. I drove back to the resort. Back to my villa. Back to my life. And I felt content. Truly content. That evening, I was walking along the beach when I ran into Jenna, the airline staff member who'd helped me that day at the airport. "Emma," she said, surprised. "I didn't know you worked here." "Jenna. What are you doing here?" "Vacation. I needed a break." She smiled. "How are you?" "I'm great. Really great." We walked together. "I never got to thank you," I said, "for that day at the airport." "You don't need to thank me. You would have done the same for me." Still, it meant a lot. She looked at me. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure. Did you really get their flight cancelled?" I smiled. "What do you think?" She laughed. "I think you're a lot more powerful than people realize." "Maybe." We reached the end of the beach. "I should get back," she said. "But it was good to see you." "You too." She walked away. And I stood there. Thinking. About power. About revenge. About justice. People always want to know if I did it. If I really got their flight cancelled. The truth? I made a phone call. I sent an email. I used connections I still had. Did I cancel the flight myself? No. Did I create circumstances that led to it being cancelled? Maybe. Does it matter? Not really. Because the point was never the flight. The point was standing up for myself. The point was refusing to be invisible. The point was showing them that I had value. With or without them. And I did that. Whether the flight was cancelled by me or by fate or by pure coincidence. I did that. 2 years into my new life, I met someone. His name was Daniel. He was a marine biologist working on a conservation project near the resort. We met at a community event. He was kind. Funny. Smart. We started talking. And we didn't stop. We went on dates. Long walks on the beach. Dinners under the stars. He made me laugh. He made me feel seen. And slowly, carefully, I let him in. It was scary. Opening up again. Trusting again. But it was worth it. Because he was worth it. 6 months into our relationship, he asked me to move in with him. "I know it's fast," he said. "But I love you. And I want to build a life with you." I looked at him. This man who saw me. Who valued me. Who loved me. "Yes," I said. We moved into a house near the beach. Small. Cozy. Ours. And I felt something I never thought I'd feel again. Complete. Not because of him. But because of me. Because I'd done the work. I'd healed. I'd grown. And now I was ready. Ready for love. Ready for partnership. Ready for a future. 3 years after the airport incident, Claire called. "Emma," she said. "I have news." "Good news?" "The best. I'm engaged." I screamed. "Claire. That's amazing. Who is he?" "His name is David. He's a teacher. He's kind. He's patient. He's everything Marcus wasn't. I'm so happy for you. Will you be my maid of honor?" "Are you kidding?" "Of course." She laughed. "Good. Because I already told David you would be." "When's the wedding?" 6 months. And it's going to be here. In the Maldives. Because this is where everything started. Where we started. I felt tears well up. I'd be honored. Good. Start planning. Because it's going to be perfect. And it was. 6 months later, I stood next to Claire as she married the love of her life. The ceremony was on the beach. Sunset. Just family and close friends. The kids were flower girl and ring bearer. Daniel was there, holding my hand. And I felt overwhelmed with gratitude. For this moment. For this life. For everything that had brought me here. After the ceremony, Claire pulled me aside. Thank you, she said. For what? For not giving up. On yourself. On us. On me. You did the same for me. We saved each other. Yeah. We did. She hugged me tight. I love you, sis. I love you too. We stood there. Two sisters. Who'd been through hell. And came out stronger. The reception was beautiful. Dancing. Laughter. Joy. At one point, Daniel pulled me onto the dance floor. You look happy, he said. I am happy. Good. He kissed my forehead. You deserve it. So do you. We danced under the stars. And I thought about the girl I used to be. The one who thought she wasn't enough. The one who needed permission to exist. She was gone now. In her place was a woman. Strong. Capable. Loved. And she was me. 5 years after the airport incident, I was promoted again. Regional Director. Overseeing multiple properties across Southeast Asia. It was a dream job. And I'd earned it. Claire's business had expanded too. She had offices in 3 cities now. We talked every week. Visited each other often. The kids were growing up. Smart. Kind. Happy. My mother reached out once more. A letter this time. Long, detailed. Apologetic. I read it. And I cried. Not because I was hurt. But because I'd finally healed enough to feel compassion for her. I wrote back. A short letter. Thanking her for her words. Wishing her well. But not inviting her back into my life. Some distances are necessary. Some boundaries are sacred. And that's okay. 7 years after the airport incident, Daniel proposed. We were on the beach. Our beach. The one where we'd first met. He got down on one knee. Emma, he said. You're the strongest, kindest, most incredible person I've ever met. And I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me? I didn't hesitate. Yes. We got married a year later. Small ceremony. Just us, Claire, the kids, and a few close friends. It was perfect. Simple. Real. Everything I'd ever wanted. 10 years after the airport incident, I stood on the beach at sunset. Alone. Just me and the ocean. I thought about that morning. The morning they told me I wasn't family enough. The morning I said nothing. The morning everything changed. And I realized something. That moment didn't break me. It freed me. It forced me to find myself. To value myself. To become myself. And I was grateful. Not for the pain. But for what came after. The growth. The strength. The life I'd built. I pulled out my phone. Scrolled through my photos. Pictures of Claire and the kids. Of Daniel. Of my life here. Of me. Smiling. Laughing. Living. And I felt complete. Not because everything was perfect. But because I was enough. I'd always been enough. I just hadn't known it. Until that day at the airport. When I walked away. When I chose myself. When I said nothing. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Sometimes, walking away is the greatest act of self-love. And sometimes, losing everything is the only way to find yourself. I stood there as the sun dipped below the horizon. The sky turning orange, then pink, then purple. And I whispered 3 words. To myself. To the universe. To that girl I used to be. I am enough. The waves crashed against the shore. The stars began to appear. And I smiled. Because I was home. Not in a place. But in myself. And that was everything.